Well, hi, there's Dave Quigley at King Street Vineyards Nursery, and today I want to introduce you to the KSV Vintner kit. First thing is first, though, is where's it going to go? So I spent some time thinking about it, and as you can see, if you look straight down here, I already have established an element in my yard. You can see two long trellises, one of which this is aligning up exactly with. I did use a tape measure, and I measured from the street to the central horizontal post here, but I also backed up, and that's really important to do, is backing up and looking at it from a distance. And so I'll show you what I mean. Because sometimes it's only through looking at it at a distance that you can get the real linear measurements. And that's because, of course, if you think about it, you could be off an inch or two or even 3 inches when you use the side of any kind of rough surface like that. So I'm really happy this is where it's going to go. So let's get to the next step. All right, placing the holes in the appropriate place. Well, you've already got a great unit of measure. Here's the 10-foot thing. So we're going to measure exactly where to dig our hole with the shovel. All right, so I want to mention one more thing, though, for consideration. And that is, look what you're digging up. You're digging up some really healthy looking grass. Why not reuse that grass someplace else in your property? So I'm going to show you how we do that. So it's actually, you're not throwing anything out. You're using all the different materials that you're harvesting here. But I'm going to use that additional grass to fill in some voids in my existing property. So I'm going to come over here, and as you can see, I've roughed up behind this cherry tree here. I've roughed up some area. I'm going to use the grass to fill that whole, the grass that I'm digging up for the grapevine, to fill in this particular area right here. So you'll see the progress in how we do that in just a moment. Anyways, as I was saying, so here we've marked where we're going to be digging, keeping in mind, of course, that no hole is straight down. So that's why we need to come over a little bit of distance here, because when we do finish up our 3.5-foot hole, we're hoping that we'll be able to get the post to come up just like that. Then we have a perfect fit. And the same is true over here. Now what I'm going to do is use this same measuring unit, and I'm going to also build out the grass that I'm going to take up to be able to have a trowel all the way through on the ground, where I can put nice soil and give the grapevines a great chance to survive with no competition. So I just wanted to show you something. It's really an easy process. You take your shovel, you go under the earth about that much, about 2 inches, and you raise it up. Use your foot a lot, raise it up. Don't tear it through yet, because you want to be able to break the soil into reasonable little chunks. And I'll show you. I'm going to keep going here and go back that way. But so I've got a little chunk right here. Watch this. One more chunk here, and then one here. And look what I just harvested. Disregard the fluorescent green, that will wear off. And I'm going to put it into my wheelbarrow, and I'll just layer them in as chunks like that. I already have this here. All this one needs is that cross one. And look at that. I mean, that's a healthy hunk of grass. And it'll have no problem at all. Of course, you want to be prepared to water it immediately. So don't forget that. Okay, I hope it's clear how I've been doing this. Basically, you can see the little chop marks. I broke them into little blocks for transportation purposes. It's all cut out now, and I'm about to go over to the area I'm going to plant them. So to prepare the soil for the grass, I got it wet, had a sprinkler going for a little bit, so everything's wet, even the soil itself. So there's the chunks, and basically I'm just going to fit them in like a puzzle. So that's the last of it. We've picked it up. This is the last barrel full over that we're going to take over to our new grass area, and I'll show you that in just a moment. And there's the newly plotted grass that'll fill in and make it a lot easier for me to drive my lawnmower around this corner instead of whacking into this poor plum all the time. This is the last part before you do another thing. I'm just going to turn it this way here. So here's the last part, making sure that you just soak the heck out of it, that area that you just grassed, and pretty soon you'll have a whole hunk of grass, probably in a week or max 2 weeks. You won't even notice it was there before. So as you can see, after I removed the grass to reuse it, I also came back, and for one more check, it's always good to do a double check here, I lined up where I want to focus the depth of the hole on either side there of the 10-footer. And if all comes to pass, should do quite well with that. Remember, you dig 3.5 feet. You can get by with 3 feet for sure, but it's best to have 3.5 feet down. And I'll be checking as I go down, digging down. And when I get 3.5 feet, I'll move to the second hole. I'll be back on in just a second. So here we go. The process of just digging down 3.5 feet, checking every so often with your tape measure. I like to be pretty neat about how I go about it. I start it in the middle as I'm moving out on either side like this. My goal really is to get it 3 feet down. I've still got a little bit of ways to go, and wanted to tell you about another tool that's really useful. Most likely most people don't have these around in their house, but friends have them if you ask around. They don't really cost all that much to get, and if you're going to dig some more holes, it might be useful to have. But this is a post hole digger, and it's really useful. You see goes directly into wherever it is. If there's a rock there, it will nab it for you. You can pull out rocks almost that big. It's really a pretty useful tool. Basically, put it straight down, pull it up, and drop the earth. I know exactly what I'm digging. You can use this to actually shave some of the side off if that's getting in the way. Here's an example of a rock right there, little one. But honestly, you can get big rocks. There's a rock. Dirt. I don't have much to go, a couple inches. And let's just do a check. And that is 3 feet. Perfect. I'll just do the other side and we'll be good to go. Oh, it's getting kind of dark. One other little tip that I want to share with you is if you can see in here in the strainer, this is what it's called. If you can see that I actually bent right here, let me push that up a little bit. I put the wire in, I bent it a little bit. There's plenty of room there when you pull it in, but I wanted to start it off with a bent wire. It'll make it a lot easier to, basically tighten it up. There you go. So once again, wearing eye protection, I'm going to be hammering these nails in, staples, and I measured basically up from the ground, level. I measured and made marks on both sides at 36, 56, and at 72 inches. For my 3 lines. That is going to be what we call a vertical shoot position, VSP method for growing grapes, and that is basically with this circular position of wire coming around. We're going to feed the vine and its growth up through the middle, and we'll show you that in a little bit. Well, as you can see, we've got our staples in at appropriate height on both of our posts over there, and I've strung the first of 3 wire cables around. I just want to point out 2 key things. One is you want to make sure that you string the wire through all 4 of the holes, leaving this end open right before the connection is made here. So you're always going to leave, basically, just keep in mind, bring the wire through all 4 of the staples, and then you're going to connect it here. The other major thing to keep in mind is you always want to have this roller pin here on top, not on the bottom, but on top, and the actual gear that you're going to be turning. And you can turn it with both the tool that we have here. Just grab the tool here in a second. Kind of hard to do with one person putting this in and filming the whole time, but here's the tool, and I'll show you how that tightens in just a moment. But basically it's pretty easy. You can borrow the tool from Blue Seal, and as long as you return it in 24 hours, or whatever they use for a time period, 48 hours, no charge. So there you go. We'll tighten it up, and basically what we're going to be doing is, if you see we're going to disregard, by the way, that little notch there, if you can see it. I'm not using that at all. All we're going to do is drive the wire through one of those 2 holes and begin to crank. Okay? So we have it pretty tight there. We'll just do one more notch in to get it really taut. Get it into place here, and we'll bring it back one more time, and as you can see, we'll get right into that next notch, and there she goes. can see, nice solid line in there, and it's as simple as it is.